All right, guys, we got us a little side work in here. Little Plymouth Sport Fury with a 383 convertible. And the car, when it was getting shipped, there was a truck behind it getting hauled as well that had a snow plow on it. And I think the straps had come loose in the corner. The snow plow was kind of hitting the back of the quarter panel. So this thing's brought in, and we actually didn't get to film at the very beginning because we jumped on it a little sooner than we thought, but we're in the masking process, and here's where the dent was at. Kind of caved in this area here, so we worked it back out and got some little bit of filler put on it. And as you can tell, it's got that nice swoop in there. It's got the perfect contour, and we got the whole quarter panel scuffed up, as you can tell, so we can do some blending. So that's what Graydon's doing right now. He's getting the jam back taped here, and then once we get it taped, and we'll run it up along here. We took this trim piece off for the convertible top, tape it off, and then we'll plastic off the whole car, kind of like you've seen us do in the past. So probably set up a little time lapse when we plastic this thing off, and then kind of show you what we're doing to get this thing painted right. And also we had the guys come out this morning, and they held the camera eye on this thing to get a nice exact match before we wet sanded it, so we can get as close of a paint match as possible.
Of course, it wouldn't be us, doing a job that's supposed to be in and out if we didn't run into something silly. I'm a little congested, so that's why I sound funny, just so you know. But yeah, so obviously the quarter continues down to the rocker, as you can see, and check out how bad the rocker is. And obviously we couldn't really see from standing up, so now I have to go back and clean all this up. It looks like surface rust for the most part, so I've got to clean that up, which is just another step, but we can't leave that and just paint over it. So I'm gonna clean it and hopefully be able to sand all those edges down and be able to paint it and make it look right. But just figured I'd show you guys that. And I'm sure if you follow us on our channel frequently, you'll know that we always run into stupid stuff. And of course, the driver's side is literally immaculate. Maybe not immaculate, but there's no rust. So yeah, the side that we have to fix, of course, our luck. So that's what I'm gonna be doing now. So as you can see, for the most part, the rust is gone. So I'll have to take and by hand do some probably 80 grit sanding right here to kind of blend all this, feather this back down so that there's not a hard edge. And then I'll be using some self-etch primer, which is stuff that you put on bare metal. It helps protect against rust on bare metal. And then we'll be using our normal high build 440 primer. And then that way that'll be all ready for when we paint the rest of the quarter white. We'll be able to get under there, and that should all get covered. And hopefully it looks like got the rust taken care of before it really got into the metal. So it's actually pretty lucky that we went that far to see that. So should be all good after that. So we didn't get a time lapse of the plasticking, but it's all plasticed off. I got everything taped, and then I went ahead and did that before I did all this stuff because I had to spot prime this, like self-etch on the edge. I don't know how well you can really tell, but I did one thing of body work, so it's all one smooth transition to the edge. Before it had like that that lip That's why I had to do body work. But I went ahead and sanded it with 80 and I put some guide coat on it. That way, before I go ahead and actually high build prime it, I'm gonna hit it with 180. That way I'm getting rid of some of the, or most of the 80 scratches first. So then after I 440 it or high build prime it, I can 220 and wet for the primer. That way that all the scratches are out and I'll be able to paint right over that. So I just wanted to show you guys that bit before I continued on. Now you guys can see, get a good look at where my body work went up to the old body work. Now it's really smooth, we're ready for the primer. Oh, hello.
Very good. Record a little bit of this.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, can't even tell. This is gonna be interesting.
Probably will be a little interesting.
Alright guys, I went ahead and primed. I'm not sure if I'd shown you since it's been primed, but I went ahead and wet sanded everything. So as you can see, the edges are all kind of feathered out, so everything's really nice and smooth. And then you can see why we do, obviously, primer. We have scratches from our initial 80, and all that's filled with primer, so it's all smooth. And all of our body work is covered up down here. Everything looks pretty smooth. So I'm getting ready to paint it with color. Dude, you really need that,
Yeah, you can't angle that tip.
you can't angle this one? I thought I've done it before.
Mm-mm.
What the freak? All right, you guys saw a couple little videos of me spraying. So, looks like it's matching pretty well with the fender skirt. I didn't actually spray this part. So, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. We'll wait till after lunch to unmask it to see how it looks compared to the rest of the car. I had to stay away from this and back tape it to try and blend it because there was no break point right there. So we should be able to just barely wet sand this and buff it all smooth. All right, we are pretty much finished now. I went ahead and unmasked everything. I put some of the trim back together just to kind of speed up the process. You can see a little bit. Let me see if I can get it. You see there's some little specks of dirt on this strip right here that we're gonna do, or we're gonna wet sand and buff. And then this was already here. This is like a lead seam, so you really don't want to expose lead. We stayed away from that as much as possible. But this is where I back taped right here. You can see that line real faint. What we'll do is we'll try and wet sand this down flat and buff this this little area right here. That way it blends in. But other than that, it looks like this paint matched really well. So yeah, it's looking good, all unmasked, and we'll finish that buffing and throw that trim on and she'll be off. All right, guys, we have got everything put back together. I wet sand and buffed it. I didn't really film that. I just kind of came in and did it. There's still a little bit of something here and there, but for the most part, it buffed out really well. As you can see, the reflection's consistent. And like I said, this stuff was already here. These cracks were here. That wasn't part of the damage, because if you open that up and expose the lead, you can get into some trouble. So, as you can see, there's no really transition. There's still a little bit of orange peel, but if you look at the rest of the car, it kind of matches really well. Obviously, when you're doing a repair, you don't want to make it obvious that where the repair is at. So we kind of try and take that into consideration and you know, kind of make it match the rest of the car. So obviously, like, it's a little bit more dull throughout the rest, and our quarter that we did is a lot shinier. But as far as the paint goes, might be just a tad bit off, but she's all done. That's our nice 3-day in and out job there. So you get a little side of, you know, some stuff that we did. And you'll probably be seeing another truck video coming up here soon. And yeah, we'll just keep filming as we get stuff in. Thanks for watching.